Let's be honest. When there's silence in a conversation with a woman you like, it makes you uncomfortable. So you fill it. You ask another question. You crack another joke. You try to keep momentum alive. But that discomfort you're trying to escape? That's exactly where attraction is born. The man who fears silence chases connection. The man who controls silence commands it. If you've ever wondered why some men barely say anything yet, women lean toward them, this is why. In this video, I'll show you 6 psychological shifts that completely change how you speak to women, and why asking fewer questions shifts the power back to you. Before we dive into this, do me a quick favor. Subscribe, hit like, and let me know what city you're watching from. I want to see how far this message is reaching, because men everywhere are struggling with this same invisible dynamic. The more you engage, the stronger this conversation becomes. Now let's get back to it, because what I'm about to show you is the subtle mistake most men make in the very first seconds of interaction. Number 1, the power of silence. Let me tell you something most men misunderstand about women. She is not listening to your words as much as she is reading your energy. When you sit across from her and start stacking questions back to back, you think you're being engaging. But what she feels is something else entirely. She feels pressure. She feels performance. She feels a man trying to keep the interaction alive because he's afraid it might die. And fear is loud. A man who talks non-stop is rarely confident. He's usually anxious about losing momentum. So he fills every pause. He asks another question. He laughs a little too quickly. He leans forward just a little too eagerly. You think you're creating comfort. But comfort without tension kills attraction. Imagine this. She just finished telling you a story about her job. Normally, this is where you jump in. So how long have you been doing that? Do you like it? What made you choose that field? Instead, you don't. You hold eye contact. You let the last sentence hang in the air. You give a slight smile. And you say nothing. Now watch what happens inside her mind. What is he thinking? Did that impress him? Why isn't he reacting like other men? In that moment, the dynamic shifts. You are no longer the one chasing connection. She is the one seeking your reaction. This is what silence does. Silence creates uncertainty. And uncertainty activates curiosity. Curiosity leads to emotional investment. When you rush to fill every gap, you remove mystery. You remove tension. You remove the space where attraction grows. But when you allow silence to breathe, you create a psychological vacuum. And human beings hate vacuums, especially in social interactions. She will start talking more. She will elaborate. She will explain herself further. Not because you demanded it, but because your stillness invited it. There is something deeply powerful about a man who is comfortable in silence. It signals that he is not desperate for approval. It signals that he is not afraid of losing her attention. It signals that he can walk away from the moment without panicking. And that changes everything. If you fill every space, you are pursuing. If you allow space to exist, she begins investing. Read that again. Silence isn't awkward. It's leverage. The man who isn't afraid of silence isn't afraid of losing her. And the man who isn't afraid of losing her is the man she subconsciously tries not to lose. This is where power begins. When you stop trying to be interesting, you become intriguing. When you stop chasing connection, you create it. And this is only the first shift. Number 2, never explain yourself. There's a moment that exposes almost every man. It's not when he approaches a woman. It's not when he flirts. It's when she challenges him. You say something confidently. Maybe it's an opinion. Maybe it's a boundary. Maybe it's a preference. And she looks at you and says, "Why would you say that?" Now, pay attention to what happens inside you. Your body tightens. Your brain scrambles. You rush to clarify. You soften your tone. You add disclaimers. You start explaining what you really meant. You polish your words so she won't misunderstand you. You think you're being reasonable. But what she feels is something else. She feels you wobble. When you over-explain, you are not communicating. You are negotiating for approval. You are subtly asking, is this acceptable to you? And the moment a woman senses that your confidence depends on her agreement, something shifts. She may still smile. She may still nod. But respect quietly drops. Here's what most men don't realize. Women are highly attuned to emotional stability. They don't consciously sit there thinking, he is insecure. But they feel the tremor in your energy. A man who constantly clarifies himself signals that he is afraid of being disliked. A man who is comfortable being misunderstood signals that he is secure in who he is. There is a massive difference. Let's say she teases you. That's kind of arrogant, don't you think? The reactive man immediately backtracks. No, that's not what I meant. I just meant that sometimes. He keeps talking. He keeps smoothing. He keeps adjusting himself to fit her comfort. The grounded man smiles slightly and says, maybe. Then he lets it sit. No defensiveness, no panic, no explanation. That stillness communicates something powerful. I stand by what I said. This doesn't mean you become rude. It doesn't mean you ignore genuine misunderstandings. It means you stop scrambling to protect your image. When you speak, own it. When you make a choice, stand by it. When she questions you, don't rush to earn your place back in her good graces. Because here's the truth most men never hear. A man who needs to be understood can always be controlled. If she learns that all she has to do is raise an eyebrow and you'll start justifying yourself, she unconsciously understands that your emotional state is in her hands. And once that happens, the dynamic tilts. Short answers. Calm tone. No emotional leakage. If she truly wants to understand you, she'll ask with curiosity instead of challenge. Your job is not to defend your existence in the room. Your job is to remain centered in it. The less you explain out of fear, the more your words carry weight. And when your words carry weight, she listens differently. Number 3. Control her emotions, not her attention. Most men are obsessed with attention. They think if she replies fast, laughs at their jokes, and double texts first, they're winning. They're not. Attention is cheap. You can buy it with compliments. You can beg for it with constant messages. You can entertain your way into it. But attraction doesn't grow from attention. It grows from emotional tension. Look at how most men behave when they like a woman. They text immediately. They respond within seconds. They keep the conversation alive at all costs. If she slows down, they speed up. If she pulls back, they lean in harder. They believe consistency equals security. What she feels, however, is predictability. And predictability flattens emotional intensity. Let's say she suddenly becomes distant. Her replies are shorter. She doesn't initiate for a day. The reactive man panics. Did I do something wrong? Are you okay? You seem different. He is not trying to control her. He's trying to control his anxiety. But in doing so, he hands over emotional leadership. Now look at the grounded man. He notices the shift. He does not chase it. He does not interrogate it. He maintains his rhythm. If she's warm, he's warm. If she's neutral, he stays centered. If she's distant, he doesn't collapse into overcompensation. Why? Because he understands something crucial. Whoever controls the emotional temperature of the interaction controls the dynamic. Women are not looking for a man who can constantly entertain them. They are looking for a man whose nervous system feels stable. A man whose emotional baseline does not swing wildly based on her mood. When your state changes every time hers does, you are reacting. When your state remains steady, you are leading. And leadership in emotional space is deeply attractive. This doesn't mean you play games. It doesn't mean you become cold. It means you stop outsourcing your emotional stability to her behavior. If she's upset, you don't rush to fix it to calm yourself. If she tests you, you don't rush to prove yourself. If she withdraws slightly, you don't chase reassurance. You observe. You stay grounded. You let her feel her own shifts without you scrambling to manage them. Here's what happens psychologically when you do this. She begins to feel your steadiness. She feels that your center is not fragile, that she cannot easily disturb your internal balance, and that creates respect. If you chase attention, you become an entertainer. If you control emotional rhythm, you become the anchor. There is a massive difference. Don't try to keep her attention. Control the emotional temperature of the room. Because the man who can stay calm while everyone else adjusts is the man people instinctively look toward. And once she starts looking toward you instead of managing you, the power dynamic changes again. Number 4, never reveal all your intentions. Let me be direct with you. One of the fastest ways to drain attraction is to reveal everything too soon. You feel chemistry, you feel connection, and you want to be honest. So you say it. I really like you. I can see this going somewhere. I'm not talking to anyone else. You think you're building trust. What you're actually doing is removing tension. When a woman becomes completely certain of your position early on, something subtle happens. Her nervous system relaxes. The chase ends before it even began. The mystery dissolves, and attraction feeds on mystery. Now listen carefully. This is not about playing games. It's not about lying. It's not about pretending you don't care. It's about timing. There's a difference between authentic expression and emotional overexposure. When you reveal all your feelings at once, you leave nothing for her to discover. You hand her the entire map before she's taken a single step. Imagine this instead. You enjoy her company. You show it through presence, through touch, through focused attention. But you don't narrate every emotion you feel. You let your actions speak in fragments. You let her wonder, how much does he actually like me? Where do I stand with him? What is he thinking right now? That wondering is not insecurity, it's engagement. The human mind is wired to seek closure. When there's a gap in certainty, we move toward it. We invest energy trying to fill it. And when she invests that energy thinking about you, replaying conversations, analyzing tone, she is building attachment. If you rush to close every gap, you rob her of that process. Mystery is not deception. Mystery is controlled disclosure. You reveal in layers. You allow depth to unfold over time. You don't dump your entire emotional blueprint on the table in week 1. The moment she feels fully certain of you, curiosity fades. And when curiosity fades, emotional intensity follows. You don't need to hide your interest. You just don't need to narrate it. Let her discover you slowly. Let her lean in. Let her decode you piece by piece. Because the moment she feels certain, she stops feeling curious. And without curiosity, attraction struggles to breathe. Number 5. Make her chase certainty. There is a powerful paradox in attraction that most men never understand. If you constantly reassure a woman of your position, you slowly lower your value. Not because reassurance is bad, but because certainty kills pursuit. Let's clarify something first. This is not about manipulation. It's not about disappearing for 3 days just to create anxiety. It's not about playing childish games. It's about composure. There's a difference between chaos and intrigue. Chaos creates insecurity. Intrigue creates investment. When you immediately confirm every doubt she expresses, of course I like you. Of course I'm not going anywhere. Of course you're the only one. You remove the natural space where attraction intensifies. The human brain hates uncertainty. It wants resolution. It wants clarity. When something feels slightly unresolved, we think about it more. We analyze it. We replay it. Now imagine she's not entirely sure where she stands with you. Not because you're cold, but because you are measured. You show interest, but you don't overstate it. You make plans, but you don't oversell the future. You care, but you don't rush to declare it. That subtle uncertainty activates something inside her. She begins to wonder, does he see me as different? Is he as invested as I am? What do I need to do to move this forward? Notice what just happened. The emotional effort shifted. Instead of you chasing reassurance, she is seeking clarity. When you always reassure, you become predictable. When you remain grounded and slightly reserved, you become compelling. If you chase attention, you entertain. If you chase certainty, you overexpose. But when you allow her to chase certainty, she invests. This only works if your composure is real. If you're secretly panicking, she will feel it. This isn't about pretending not to care. It's about being secure enough that you don't need constant confirmation from her. When your peace doesn't depend on her validation, your presence gains weight, and that weight changes how she responds. Women don't fall for certainty. They chase it. And when she starts chasing emotional clarity from you, the balance tilts quietly in your favor. Number 6, master emotional control. This is where everything comes together. You can stay silent. You can avoid over-explaining. You can maintain mystery. But if you cannot control your emotions when she tests you, all of it collapses. Because the real shift in power doesn't happen when things are smooth. It happens when things get uncomfortable. She gets irritated. She accuses you of being distant. She raises her voice. She pulls away to see how you respond. Now watch yourself carefully in that moment. Most men react. They defend. They argue. They over-explain. They apologize just to calm the storm. They believe they are protecting the connection. What they are actually doing is revealing that their emotional state depends on her approval. And once a woman realizes she can trigger you, she unconsciously loses respect. Not because you have emotions, but because you are ruled by them. A woman does not feel safe with a man whose mood swings every time hers does. She may feel powerful, but she will not feel anchored. And attraction does not grow where stability is missing. Now imagine a different response. She becomes emotional. You lower your tone instead of raising yours. She challenges you. You listen without interrupting. She pushes. You stay steady. You don't match chaos with chaos. You don't rush to win the argument. You don't scramble to restore harmony just to relieve your discomfort. You stay centered. That stillness does something profound. It communicates that your internal world is not fragile, that your identity does not crack under pressure, that your peace is self-contained. This is not suppression, it's governance. There is a difference between feeling emotion and being controlled by it. When you react instantly, you surrender authority. When you pause, observe, and choose your response, you retain it. And here's what most men don't understand. A woman cannot deeply respect a man she can emotionally puppeteer. If she can predict exactly which button to press to make you anxious, angry, or apologetic, the dynamic tilts. You become reactive. She becomes the emotional driver. But when she realizes that her storms do not shake you, something shifts inside her. She feels containment. She feels strength. She feels a boundary that does not need to shout to exist. And that is deeply attractive, because at its core, attraction is not about how much you talk. It's about how much you can hold. Hold silence. Hold tension. Hold your frame when things are uncomfortable. Power begins where reaction ends. The final move of a powerful man is stillness. When you stop trying to win every emotional exchange, you win the dynamic itself. When you stop proving, defending, reacting, you become the stable center of the interaction. And the man who remains unmoved when tested is the man who becomes unforgettable. Now step back and look at what we just built. Speak less. Don't explain. Control the rhythm. Stay unpredictable. Let her invest. Master your emotions. This is not about tricks. It's not about manipulation. It's not about becoming cold or distant. It's about removing the subtle behaviors that signal neediness. You don't talk to a woman to be accepted. You talk to her from a position where acceptance is optional. That shift alone changes your tone, your pacing, your presence. Most men think attraction is created by saying the right thing, the perfect line, the clever response. It's not. Attraction is created by what you don't rush to say, by what you don't panic to fix, by what you don't feel the need to explain. Women don't fall for the man who speaks the most. They fall into the orbit of the man who is the most grounded, the one who doesn't flinch when challenged, the one who doesn't overinvest when things feel uncertain, the one who can sit in silence without shrinking. If you recognized yourself in this, if you've asked too many questions, explained too much, tried too hard, type the word silence in the comments. Subscribe if you're ready to learn how to hold your frame in every interaction, not just romantic ones. And share this with the friend who's always the first to text, the first to explain, the first to apologize. You don't win her by speaking more. You win by needing less.